Hello. It's been a while. Not really. Today for you, I have a story. Have you ever had a group of friends where they were so tightly knitted together? Except for there was always that one person that was always just kind of pushed off into the closet of everybody's mind. I am that person. He goes by a name of Olan Rogers. Wesley! Yes, Wesley and Olan. Olan Rogers was his name. He was the pinnacle of our school, the top tier of Dumbos. It was always me, him, and Wesley. Except for me, I was at the lower end of the totem pole. Now, Olan, I don't know if you know Olan, okay? He's a weird guy. He is a weird guy, that is for sure. And you know what happens to weird people? Do you really know what happens? They have very weird circumstances all the time. All the time. So much so that they amass this big fat dictionary stack of useful/unuseful stories to share with everybody. And that's what Olan decided to do. But you know what that guy did? You know what he did? It's like a little scarab burrowing under my skin. He decides to go and tell all these magnificent voyages to the bottom of his stupidity. And what does he do? What does he do? What does that guy do? He leaves me out. Completely leaves me out. Doesn't even mention my name. The name Keenan never even got mentioned. Here I am, a guy that hangs out with him all the time, and he doesn't even tell anybody about me. So you know what I'm here to do today? I'm here to set things straight. To try and combat this unexcusable ignorance of my existence, I'm going to tell my own stories. Ha! How do you like that? So this happened when I was like 13, right? Just a young man just beginning to take the first leap into teenagehood. I was a fairly scrawny little kid and short by standards. On a good day, the doctor might measure me 4.5 feet tall. On a bad day, he might measure me 4.5 feet tall. I believe it was sometime in October that me, Olan, and Wesley, yes, Wesley, decided to go on a paintball extravaganza. Now, this just wasn't your average paintball trip. This was many months in the making. And by making, I mean sitting around on our couch, trying to psych ourselves up for the pain that was so guaranteed to be endured. One thing Olan won't tell you is that I have helped him out a ton, namely giving him rides to places. It was my mom, okay? My mom. I was like, hey mom, we need to go to the paintball field. And she was like, okay. Me and my mom, we both got in the car, sat our butts down, and drove all the way to Olan's house. Picked up Olan. We also picked up Wesley at his house, too. So it's always a good time, you know, sitting in the car, punching the radio button to find something that you might actually enjoy. And we got into this little bit of a squabble, okay? Just a little one, not too big. You see, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Wesley, he likes to steal things, right? I mean, I'm sure Olan has told you this before in one of his stories. I don't really watch any of his, so I wouldn't really know. But he steals things. My family, like every other family on the face of the planet, they have a pack of gum. Extra winter mint. The best flavor. So I did like any other normal person would do, and I was like, hey, does anybody want a piece of gum? And Olan was like, sure, I'll take a piece. You know, he takes a piece. But Wesley, he kind of has this odd look on his face. He takes a piece of gum. I don't know about you, but if you've ever met Wesley before, you would have the very distinct feeling that whenever you're around him, you're about to get duped really bad. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe my senses are just off. Maybe my senses have been shoved into a bowl of Jell-O. I was just like, nah, whatever. Put the gum back down in the mid-console. We continue driving. The paintball field probably is approximately about 23 minutes away. All of us collectively start playing this game, you know, where you look on the side of the road to see if you can find things that start with the letter in the alphabet, and then you go down the alphabet, like, oh, okay, we're on A. Hey, look at there's a big red anteater. So we're going down the alphabet, we're naming things. Hey, look at that, there's a bear, there's a semi-truck, there's a raccoon. Ew. But then we get to the letter X. And we've been sitting here for 5 minutes, looking out the window, trying to find something that begins with the letter X. I don't know what is with this kid, but Wesley immediately says, extra. Me and Olan were like, extra? What is he talking about? There's no extra. You can't see extra. At least I didn't think. Well, turns out I was actually wrong. You can see extra in the form of gum. So again, I don't know what is in Wesley's mind. Actually, it's probably about as empty as a cookie jar before Christmas. Out of nowhere, Wesley just jumps up, unbuckles his seat, and is like, you do dum-dum, you give me gum-gum. And he just reaches down, grabs the gum, and shoves the whole thing, cardboard box, gum, and wrappers all into his mouth. And just sits there like an idiot with like little pieces of gum poking out all over his mouth. Me and Olan, we just sit there. We just sit there and stare at him for like a good 10 seconds. And we just stare at him. And he just sits there with a stupid smile on his face. Meanwhile, during this time, as most moms do, my mom was busy freaking out. So as soon as Wesley did this, she about swerved into the barrier. We were on the highway and almost hitting the 2003 Ford Focus behind us. She eventually like careens over to the side of the road and stops on the shoulder and is like, "What is going on? What is going on back there? Wesley, what are you doing?" Wesley, he starts to take pieces of gum out of his mouth. And you know, there's still the little flat strips still in the packaging, except for they've got like a little bite mark on them, right? So slowly, one by one, he takes all of them out of his mouth, but leaves the cardboard in there. He chews up the cardboard into this little squishy, wet brown mass that resembled something like a decaying brain. Probably Wesley's. So he's holding it there. He's just holding it in his hand, like, "I got a brown, wet, wide, and you don't." And he puts it in his mouth again, okay? But then he pushes it towards the front and makes a little, like this, getting ready for what we were assuming to spit it out. And oh boy, did he spit it out. He took a deep breath in through his nose and then blew it. It was like a missile on steroids. It just went straight as a laser to my mom's ear. Hit her right here, and stuck right in here. And already my mom was like freaking out. She was asking questions like, "What is going on? I don't understand. What is happening? Wesley, get back in your seat." But when the ball hit her in the ear, you would have thought World War III was about to begin. The Russians had nuked the world and everybody was going to die. It's exactly what the look on her face was like. Wesley, obviously, immediately, he started to look a little bit surprised. I couldn't really tell whether he was impressed with himself for having such incredible aim to hit my mom in the ear, or if he was just kind of ashamed that he actually got stuck in there. I'm betting the first one. Either way, my mom just completely, "Okay, everybody in their seats." She takes us, pushes me back down, buckles us back up, and was like, "Olan, get in your seats, young man. Wesley, stay down there. And if you get unbuckled again, I'm telling your mom." We all sat down. Wesley didn't have the brains to stop smiling. Through this entire ordeal, he had this Joker smile plastered onto his face. So we all sit in the car ride in silence all the way to the paintball field. Wesley was calmly taking off all the wrappers of the gum pieces that he had pulled out of his mouth and was now eating them and chewing a golf ball sized wad of gum. I don't know how he does this, but he's just sitting there chomping away, taking huge lumberjack-sized swipes at this golf ball wad of gum sitting between his chompers. So we're all sitting there and we're just listening to the steady tempo of Wesley chomping on a golf ball-sized wad of gum. But then we finally got to the paintball field, okay? My mom was done with us. She's like, "I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be back in 2 hours." So we walk up to the guy at the paintball counter, right? And you know, we're kind of the unpopulars. So we walk up there, we're trying to look like, "Oh, we own the place, you know, we got our gun on the shoulder, we're holding our air tanks in the other hand," and we're like, "3 tickets, bro." And he's like, "There you go. Have a fun day." And he also gives us a big box of paintballs. So we take our tickets, our paintballs, and our guns, and ourselves, and sit our little butts down on the picnic bench. We're putting together our guns, right? When Wesley just starts to reach into his mouth and just pull out a little strand. And he's getting arm's length. And then it like sags, you know, due to gravity. Me and Olan are like, "Dude, that's disgusting. Put it back in your mouth." And he's like, "No." And so he takes it and he wraps it around his nose. This big, like, 2.5 foot long piece of gum strand. Mind you, half of it was still in his mouth. And he just wraps it up and around his nose. Just running around and laughing. And laughing, of course. We all had crappy guns, so we were sitting at the picnic table pretending to get our guns ready, even though we didn't actually need to put anything on them. But these other guys actually had real guns, and they would put them together, right? They would clean out the barrel, they would put them together, you know, they do all this, fancy. And Wesley runs to the table that has about 5 very professional-looking paintball players on it. And he's just like, "Hi, guys," and he takes off again. And he was there for like half a second, but all the guys at the table were like, And they just start laughing. They just start laughing. They're busting a gut. And then you're like, what an idiot. And I'm like, Wesley. Wesley is making his rounds and coming back to us. And the guys from the professional paintball table are still staring at him. And so we were like, oh crap. If Wesley gets over here, those guys are going to know he's with us. And then we're automatically going to be this horrible, disgusting group of weirdos. So they're gonna be idolized for our weirdness and just poor friend choices, quite honestly. So Olan was already under the table. I'm just sitting there, like, kind of in shock, and just watching Wesley just running around. And he makes his way back, and I'm still sitting there. Olan's under the table. He's like, dude, get down here. I'm just still sitting there. I'm still sitting there. And Wesley's still running closer. Then it kind of clicks with me and I'm like, oh no. And I'm just feeling the slow motion as I'm running to dive under the table, but then it's too late. They see us and a look of kind of almost surprise, like, oh my gosh, that guy that was running around with gum on his nose actually has friends. And then they see we actually have paintball guns. And they're like, they have this evil smile comes across their faces and they're like, you're going down, buddy. So me and Olan and Wesley just sat there in silence. Wesley still, like, playing around with his gum. He had put the gum from his nose back in his mouth. And then the ref calls saying, okay, anybody, who wants to play, come over here. We all kind of waddled, I guess was a more correct way to describe it, over there, because we were wearing 3 sweatshirts and 2 pairs of pants. Not to mention 5 pairs of underwear. Because, you're playing paintball, high velocity paint swapping, and you're gonna get hit. It is an inevitable thing that you are going to get hit. So you better pad up, buddy. First course, Area 51. We're getting ready to set up. Right? It's just us and a few other recreational players. Obviously not knowing what we're doing because we all are wearing 3 layers of sweatshirts. So we're sitting there looking like somewhere between a cross of a hillbilly and an Eskimo. And then here walks up these 5 professional paintball players from that same table. They walk up and they're like, hey, can we play? And the ref's just kind of like, I don't know what he was thinking, obviously, because he knew these people. I'm seriously wondering if he was in cahoots with them. But he's just like, oh, why don't you guys go on that team and all these other guys go on this team? What do you say? And of course, me and Olan just look at each other and you're like, is this guy nuts? That's just not fair. And what does Wesley do? Wesley, out of all people, still with the wad of gum in his mouth, is like, yeah, guys, let's do it. And me and Olan are like, poop. Kind of look at him, and we're like, Wesley, you are an idiot. And Wesley just takes the gum out of his mouth, golf ball size of gum, and throws it at the nearest tree. That gum wad is still sitting there today. So we go onto the course. 5 professional paintball players against 9 of us. First minute, we're out in the field. Mind you, this is a fairly big field. It's probably about twice the size of your house. And within 1 minute, we were all out. Immediately out. I took the left side, Olan took the right side, Wesley took the right side as well with Olan. I immediately got out, got hit, beamed in the forehead. Right away, headshot all the way from across the field. I don't even know how you can aim that accurately. Those balls are like corks. All I hear is just from across the field, I hear this. I don't know who that was. I don't know what that was. I didn't even want to know. So we're on the second course. It was called The Jungle. You might have heard of it. They made a book about it. And immediately, history had a mirror gun and just zapped the past into the future. Exactly same way it went down. Everybody was dead within a minute, including me, except for Olan and Wesley. I don't know how they're alive. I mean, I guess maybe it's because they're sticking together. And I remember Olan and Wesley running up looking like they're gonna jump over the river. That divides the course in half onto the other team's side. Nope, that wasn't gonna happen. This guy, like a swamp monster rising out of a bath of chocolate milk, just stands up. He's like 6 foot tall with a snorkel in his mouth and just starts shooting as fast as he can at both Olan and Wesley. Wesley goes down. He gets shot in the head. He just hits the deck. He drops like a rock. Olan, on the other hand, he does the same thing, but the guy doesn't stop shooting him. He just shoots him like 15 times in the back. And Olan got mad. He got right mad. He got up after the ref was blowing the whistle and he's like, what are you thinking? You're only supposed to shoot once, mister. And the 6 foot dude was like, if you can't take the pain, get out of the field. And Olan, his face was turned red. It was like a day-glow tomato. Last game, Hamburger Hill. You might have heard of it. Rhymes with cholesterol. Again, history takes its mirror gun. Everybody's dead, except for Olan and Wesley. Don't ask me how they're alive again, I don't know. And I see Olan, followed by Wesley, army crawling up this hill. And they stop at like a little ledge. There's like a little notch cut out of it, and they just sit there, like backs on the wall, like. And I see there's a guy on the opposite side of the hill. I wasn't really sure if they knew that guy was over there. So I was about ready to say something, but then all of a sudden, Olan takes off and runs around the left side of the hill. He gets down on one knee, a proposal of death, and he just starts shooting as fast as he can. Wesley, shoot him! And he just unloads all the hopper, completely gone. As he's shooting, he's like looking over like, where's Wesley? Wesley is still behind the hill. I don't know if it's the battle that smacks some sense into that guy, finally does something good. As Olan is shooting this guy, Wesley walks around the right side of the hill and is just like, dude, and then just shoots Olan right in the thigh. Olan is like, dude! Olan was still in his, like, Hulk rage. Olan looks down at the guy, and immediately, all the Hulk rage just rushes out of him. He's like, he grabs Wesley and just takes off back to the picnic tables. 40 balls right to the butt. Obviously, me not wanting to be a part of this, I just walk along with the group like everybody else. I sit down on the opposite side of the table, and I just kinda sit there in silence, and I'm like, that went well. But the guy, who he had shot 40 times in the butt, came walking over and was like, staring down everybody. He was like, who did this? Who did this? And he gets up and he's still walking around. He's like staring everybody down. He's like, was it you? And he comes to Olan and he stares at him. Kind of weird. And he has this sneer. He's just kind of looking like he's not sure if Olan did it, but he's pretty sure at the same time. Eventually he just storms away and we're both just left sitting there. Well, my mom comes rolling up. All anger from her has dissipated. Guys, who wants ice cream? Eventually I probably will do more videos like this telling my side of the story where Olan forgot to put me in. Obviously we're not friends anymore because obviously friends put other people in videos. There you guys go. I hope you enjoyed that and goodbye.